Hi, my name is Janet Leamy. I'm an ESOL teacher at Sylvania PCC, and I went on an international faculty development seminar to Spain and Morocco in 2011. It was entitled Exploring the Coexistence and Challenges of Neighboring Cultures. When I was in Spain, we went to Seville, and one of the things that I noticed was the connection between Spain and Morocco. In terms of architecture, the first thing that we visited was called the Alcazar, and the Alcazar has Moorish architectural elements such as arches and many tiles of intricate design that really reflected the connections between Morocco and Spain, because later when we went to Morocco, we saw very similar tiles, and I found the aesthetic appeal both in Morocco and Spain to be amazing. Also in Spain, we visited the Cathedral in Seville, which had formerly been a mosque, and the minaret there has been now converted to a bell tower, but formerly was Muslim. Further on into Cordoba, we saw what is formerly another mosque, and it is now called a cathedral, but it was once called the Mezquita of Cordoba. The Mezquita has red and white arches with columns supporting those, and a beautiful Islamic mosque feature in the interior. We visited an elementary school, which was fantastic to see little kids who were of Arabic language background doing the second language program there in the elementary school. So we saw a little program where the children were singing essentially the equivalent of It's a Small World After All, and it did feel like a small world when we saw them. They're only 14 kilometers in distance at the Straits of Gibraltar. We crossed by boat and literally, physically felt the approximation between the two countries. Immigration is something that the EU countries would like to be able to control better. There are illegal immigrants. There are people who, according to EU people, they would be better off staying in their own countries. So the strategy is to bring up the standard of living in a country like Morocco. We visited a farmer's co-op in the Rift Valley. They were producing olive oil in a modern facility. This place had even developed a way to use the byproducts of the olives after they had been pressed, rather than dumping them down the hill where it would have been an ecological disaster because this poisons the soil. They were using the byproducts to sell as fuel. The Farmers Cooperative also invited us to go to their village where we had a lunch. I speak French, and I was thrilled to be able to speak to a man who was in charge of the project in French and really make connections with him. Morocco was fantastic, exotic, because it looked like the old world. Something that I didn't understand and didn't expect was that I wouldn't be able to see windows in houses. I only saw doors, and they were kind of fortress-like, which kind of was intimidating. The reason being that they often tried to keep privacy, especially women are not generally expected to mix outside of the home. So the inside of the home was a place of privacy and protection. And the houses tended to be very beautiful with an aesthetic appeal. I found that was amazing. Even in the simplest places, they were whitewashed white with blue walls. We were lucky enough to have a tour of the interior of one of the private homes near Tangier. The historic house had tiles, ceramics inside its atrium, And we were able to look around on the first floor of this historic house, which was inhabited on the second floor. I wish I had the sound to go with this, but maybe I can paint a picture of sound for you. There was a canary up on the second floor on the balcony that was singing, and the echo was so beautiful to listen to as we were touring the house. I enjoyed the accommodations we had. They were also decorated in characteristic Islamic colors and patterns, thought to beauty in any situation. You can see the sensibility here, the little lantern in the left corner, just there for beauty. The displays of food in the markets were fantastic. You can see the colors of yellow and orange and green and red, even displays above the lights, green and white. There's a real sensibility to arranging things. The proximity as one was walking through the Medina, through the shopping areas, you were near all of the goods. Everything was in narrow pathways, so it made you want to stop and look and admire. My thrill of going to Morocco was having the chance to taste their food, and to see the presentation increased the pleasure by double. They often used saffron, yellows, the green olives, and so tasty, so delicious. Cookies with almonds, which is an agricultural product of Morocco, so this was a great treat at the end of the meal. We were always served also some sweet mint tea as a traditional end to the meal. It was hot and lovely in its golden rimmed glasses. On our last night in Morocco, we visited the Grand Mosque of Casablanca. It's purported to be the second largest mosque in the world. I felt small in front of it. I enjoyed having the opportunity to actually hear the call to prayer 5 times a day, and this would be an example of a minaret where the call to prayer would be issued. It was astonishing. It was spine-chilling to hear the sound of the call to prayer 5 times a day. Well, the trip affected me in that it kindled my enthusiasm for teaching. I teach ESOL. I teach people right now who are from Morocco, and I got to see their country. That made a great impression on me, and it made me feel excited about teaching them. It also made me feel stronger in experiencing new things. It made me realize that I can travel, that I can be someone who doesn't know anyone and doesn't know a culture, and yet can feel a connection to those people, and not to have been intimidated by that experience of going to a strange place.